Thank you all for coming. It's really been a great day, and I hope tomorrow is going to be even better. What I would like to do is, first of all, thank the sponsors for sponsoring this event. And secondly, to Martha, who has single-handedly organized the logistics and the whole conference. A big hand of applause. And of course, the speakers, because they have been wonderful. And finally, the patients, or some of my patients who are here, who are now going to talk about trials and research in general and what they think about us. And what I would like to go on a memory lane backwards, because this started off as a whim of mine a couple of years ago. It was actually called the Southern Academic Coagulation Consortium. It now changed its name to Scientific and Academic Coagulation Consortium, because we are not Southern anymore. More importantly, it was just a fanciful idea. But the one person who made this idea into a reality is not with us anymore. And I think I owe her a lot. That was Katie Bolam, who organized us to become what we are. But of course, on behalf of Michael Fan, who is the chair and the steering committee of the Scientific and Academic Coagulation Consortium, I welcome you all. More importantly now, I would like to introduce my patient, Lee Welsh, who is going to talk about us, and I hope he's not going to joke about me. And after that, Richard is also going to follow on from Lee. And we're hoping that there are a few other patients, including Adam and Darren and Martin and John, and they're more than happy to take any questions from all of you.
You're looking at the first patient first hemophilia A patient that underwent gene therapy. And I'm alive. Woo! People ask me, how did you come across such a big moment in your life? And it was a June, July. I was sitting in the waiting room of the Haemophilia Centre in Basingstoke, playing with my phone, Candy Crush, as you do. And at the corner of my eye, I just see someone walk past. And she said to me, Lee, we need to talk. And I'm looking at her like, it was Savita, obviously. Now, past experience has taught me, whenever someone says, we need to talk, you're in trouble. So we sat in this small room. I remember sitting in the room, and she was like, in my eyes, Lee, would you like to take part in a study to change your genes? And I thought to myself, shouldn't want the Levi's. No, Lee, would you like to take part in the gene therapy? You'll be the first human to ever take part. And I said to her, yes, 100% yes. And she was like, Lee, we haven't even told you about the risks or anything. I was like, no, yes, I'll take part. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. And I wouldn't say yes to a stranger if he was like, would you like to take part in the gene therapy, a stranger? But it's the person that asked Savita. Growing up in South Africa wasn't very easy with haemophilia. Went through a lot of doctors, a lot of nurses, hours and hours of waiting. And they always come across the same answer every time. Strict bed rest and ice and injection. That was it. Every time, strict bed rest and ice. Hey, strict bed rest and ice. And that was all I heard every time. So I ended up giving up in going to the doctors because I kept hearing the same thing over and over again. And it was only since about, how long have we known each other for? 9 years, 8 years? Sorry, around there, that, I decided to give her a chance. And I'm telling you, these past 9 years have been a roller coaster, from elbow bleeds to ankle bleeds to knee bleeds to butt bleeds, don't ask why, to ankle fusions. It's been through a roller coaster, and she was there for me every single time. And I just wanted to give a round of applause to Savita for that. Thank you. lost my train of thought there, sorry. And you know, okay, I have to tell you guys, I lost my first piece of paper, so I forgot what I was going to say next. But, you know, a few months passed after that, and I was in the Hammersmith Hospital for the gene therapy. And I remember I was thinking to myself, I'm thinking there's going to be like machinery and like lasers and stuff like that. But it was just a little machine, like an IV with like a drip or like a little thing that timed a syringe, like went beep, 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 with my arm like that. And I remember my family came to visit me, but they couldn't come into the room unless they put on this plastic suit, like this plastic suit. And when they came in, they would try to kiss me and hug me, but it was like I had swine flu or something like that. It was like, and it was quite tough. It was quite tough. I remember when they injected me with it, all the doctors were around me. They were looking at me. And I remember one of the doctors, I don't see you here, hopefully you're not here, he was looking at his time. He was like this. Every time it ticked, the needle went boop, smaller, boop, boop. And after it finished, it must have been about 30 seconds. And he kept looking at me intensively. And after a while he went, hopefully you're not here. Sorry, doctor, if you are here. Yes. Still alive. The few weeks after that were probably the toughest few weeks, the toughest few weeks of my life. We had to give samples. 5 samples we had to take. Urine, blood, saliva, my non-favorite stool, and my favorite semen. Sorry. It was tough the first few days. Yeah, we had to do that every day. Wow. My girlfriend did not enjoy that. But what really made me open my eyes was Laura coming down from Oxford. You know, I had work at 9 o'clock, and my work's quite strict. It's like you have to be at work at 9. And we had to kind of fit all of this in. And Laura came down. She lives in Oxford, and I live in Basingstoke. She came down and met me 7:30 every single day to come look after me, take all the samples she needs to get, and I'm out the door by 8. I'm in work by 9. And I just wanted to thank you, Laura, for you know, having that time and effort, because I don't think people understand the commitments that you have to put in to go through a study, but also make the patient's life easier. And having that kind of balance, you did an extremely amazing job. Thank you, please. So there were 2 things I wasn't allowed to do on the trial. I wasn't allowed to have intercourse, which is fine because I had my daily special. Sorry. And 2, I wasn't allowed to drink alcohol. And that's probably my big weakness, but I managed to do that. Going through the trial, it was a different experience, being monitored all the time, ECGs, temperatures. And you know what? It worked. It worked for, you know, I had 19 days with no injection, and that's the longest ever. And I'm very happy of that. On my travels, I posted a few things on Facebook, few posts I said, going through gene therapy, everyone wished me luck, and it went viral for a while. I think the first month it went viral. A lot of people kept messaging me on Facebook from different parts of the world, USA, Australia, and a lady from Syria. You know, she really wanted to know what was going on. She really wanted to get updates, people asking for updates. They were inviting me to Facebook pages, Facebook groups, mothers with hemophilia sons and all that, and they were asking me questions like, Lee, my son had a bleed. What do I do? And it was tough. I'm not a doctor, you know. it was quite tough going through all that. But you know, I just said to her, you know, especially the mother from Syria, she never had, her son doesn't have the healthcare that I have. I feel very privileged to be in this country where healthcare is free, you know. And when I'm speaking to this lady from Syria, her son doesn't have the same healthcare as we do. I feel like it's not right, but you know, what can I? She kept asking me for advice, and I just said to her, you know, have patience, you know, try look after your son. Growing up wasn't easy, to be honest, for me. With a haemophilia patient, I remember being young, growing up in South Africa. We love cricket, we love rugby. I always wanted to play rugby, but I was always known as the boy bleeder. And don't touch him, he'll bleed to death. Don't touch him, he's bleeding to death. I felt like I was a walking tombstone, you know what I mean? And I hated having haemophilia along the years. I hated it because I was not invited to these special events. I couldn't do PE, couldn't do all these things with my PE, physical education. I couldn't do anything with my friends. But the years I grew up, I realized that having haemophilia is not a disadvantage, it's actually an advantage. Because, okay, I will never be the captain of the rugby team. I'll never play this, I'll never play that. But instead I grew elsewhere, you know. I played chess, and I loved it. I played Pokemon, I loved that. and all these things, you know, you grow away from it. And it made me, in my mind, I think before I do things. And I do that with everything I do, all the tasks I do. I think intensively, what are the risks involved? And there's a lot of people don't do that. And I feel like that's the biggest advantage of having haemophilia, is having that thought and growing away and having that mentality. Or just me being Asian, I don't know. But yeah. So the therapy, the gene therapy is, I believe, it's the first step to something great. I know being the first, you know, didn't work well for me, but I'm sure in the future generations will have the opportunities that I didn't have. The reason why I went into the trial, even though all the risks and anything could happen, was because I didn't want children to go through the same things that I did. I want children in the future to have options. I want them to not have that person saying, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that. I want them to be who they want to be. Even though I'm happy who I am, I want other people to know themselves fully, if that makes any sense. Sorry if it doesn't. And I would like to thank Marin for making it, and whoever was involved, so I don't know the technicalities behind it, for this amazing opportunity, the first step to the future. And I believe, you know, in 20, 30 years' time, haemophilia will be just a thing of the past. And thank you so much, guys. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions, guys?
Call the Pokemon yet?
Sorry?
You call all the Pokemon?
I have caught all the Pokemons, actually. I have. Yeah, I did. I did. It was my best years of my life. Anything else? Anyone? No? Okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
South African as I am.
Yes.
I have to be direct. Do you think the healthcare provision in South Africa is now caught up with the technology here? I'm so totally outside this room and the knowledge that you all have. But I'm quite interested in the comments that you made about your experience of healthcare in South Africa. So are we still very behind, or are we on our way, or are we in the room?
Very good question, ma'am. Lovely to meet you. Sorry, what is your name, ma'am?
Zena.
Zena, lovely to meet you, Zena. I haven't been to South Africa since I left about 9 years ago. But what I can say, what the difference was the injections. In South Africa, we had 2 huge syringes like this, and you had to mix them, and they were huge. They were like this big, this thick, and it was, you know, as you're trying to inject yourself and changing the syringes, it was a nightmare to do that. Coming to England, we got the same thing, but in a syringe like this. One syringe, one in, one out. That's it. And I think something small like that makes a big difference, especially with someone with haemophilia that has to do that every second day. Something so small like that, you know, makes a big difference. Hope that answers your question.
We have a South African consultant here, so
Oh.
answer.
Hello, boss. Hello. Nice to meet you. Do you have a question for me?
No, I don't have a question.
You sure, my friend? Anyone else? I'm really open, seriously. Anyone else? No? Okay. Well, thank you very much, guys. Thank you.